A player's family was held hostage and robbed for $500,000 while he was in the middle of a football match. More on who he is and how it happened later on. 1 minute you're good, the next you're holding on for your life. Here are some of the most famous football players who escaped death. During his time playing football, Ahmad Mito established himself reasonably well. During his 14-year career, he undoubtedly had his fair share of situations. Still, the strangest one may have occurred while playing for the Dutch club and included Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Mito almost killed Ibra. No, really, let me elaborate. During a loss to rivals PSV Eindhoven in 2003, both players had developed a rather potent attack combination for Ajax. But when Zlatan was brought on as a replacement, Mito refused to pass to him. The striker snapped at the Swede because he was unhappy about being a replacement. According to Ibrahimovic, Mito went further, storming into the locker room after the game and calling his teammates miserable Cs. In his customary way, Zlatan replied that if anybody acted like a C, it was him. After that, Mito cut Zlatan off with a pair of scissors. This one is pretty sad since Neymar almost took his life. Thanks to the generous pay that football players get, especially when they have skills like those of Neymar, they live posh lives and own the best things that money could buy. Cars. And not only typical cars, but supercars. When you combine the power of a supercar, young age, and the adrenaline that comes with all of this, you get what almost took the life of the PSG and Brazilian national team striker. Having enough money to purchase almost anything he envied, Neymar acquired the famous red Ferrari 458 Spider. As he got the car, it almost took his life on his way to a football match that he had. Luckily, he escaped unhurt and made it to the game safe and sound. Crazy. Risking your life to be at the start of the match. Well, let's get on to the next one. Unlike Neymar, Eriksen made it safe to the game, but he almost didn't make it out off the pitch. In the Euro 2020 title, Denmark was playing against Finland. In the match, Eriksen was following a ball that had been kicked out following a throw-in. Suddenly, as he was jogging back to the pitch, he fell face first. The incident got everyone confused, since no one knew what was happening. Lying on the field, Eriksen was resuscitated and stabilized. Eriksen was put on a stretcher and taken to the hospital. It was later discovered that he had suffered a cardiac arrest, risking his life. Luckily, he returned to the pitch with an implanted monitor and is back raising the Red Devils flag high. Messi is one of the most well-known players in the world. He has had many great matches, but this one in 2017 was one of its kind, since they were playing against Juventus. It wasn't an ordinary match since Juventus had already won the first leg of the game 3-0, and Messi knew what that meant: 4+ goals to secure the title or pack his bags. The game meant a lot for the two teams, since each was there to make a legacy for themselves. With each side giving their all, the two teams seemed to have equal powers, and none scored a goal. As the time was almost elapsing, Messi made an effort that nearly cost him his career, the game he was in, and his life. In the game, he took a header and landed on his neck so bad that he nearly lost his life. The GOAT does everything for football, even risking his life. Another famous football player whose life was left on the balance as he had a crash 3 days after he bought his dream car. This incident dates back to 2009, as the youngster player played for the Red Devils for the first time. During this period, the team suffered a bad loss, and to recover from that, they greatly depended on him to be in their next training. The coach called multiple times so Ronaldo would get on the pitch. He was running out of time since he only had 20 minutes to get on the other side of the city. To beat the time, he needed speed, and true to that, he had one beast in the garage that would get the job done. If Ronaldo had known, he would not have gotten in that car, since it put his life on the line. As he sped in the supercar, you know what happened next. Still, luckily enough, the star walked out of the totaled Ferrari without a single scratch on his body. As of the cases we have seen, nothing compares to what almost took Di Maria's life. It was not an accident that nearly claimed his life, but a target on his back every day of the year. As time passes, things get even more intense with the target putting on Di Maria's back. Things seem to have gotten a little out of control since the target had been turned onto his family after he and his family was attacked and reportedly held hostage. At the beginning of 2021, Di Maria had an excellent start to the season, since his team, PSG, was causing chaos left and right. In one of the most anticipated games during this period, PSG had taken an early lead of 1-0. And things were in favor of PSG. As the game went on, things changed when each player's cell phone and those of the people in the field started ringing. As soon as this happened, Angel was substituted and escorted off the field. Unfortunately, this was not the ordinary substitution you'd expect, since he was notified of the danger facing his family as soon as he left the pitch. His family was being held hostage by burglars, who took anything that their hands came across, including Di Maria's entire jewelry collection worth $600,000. Imagine being presented with a two-selection scenario. Choose to save your life or your entire football career. At only the mere age of 21, this happened to Thiago Silva. He was on the road to becoming one of the world's best defenses during this period. Thiago soon got a transfer to the Russian club Dynamo Moscow. When this was happening, no proper medical checks were done on Thiago. Soon after he had gone to Russia, he started experiencing some weird symptoms as he was losing his stamina, having colds, sweating, and coughing. These symptoms alarmed the doctors, and he had to undergo checks for what could be the root of his condition. And what they found was shocking. They disclosed that his state would have taken his life if he had been brought in 2 weeks later. He had been suffering from tuberculosis, which called for isolation treatment for 6 months. He had to undergo surgery to ensure he was cured, which came with a higher price than money could buy. If he had this surgery, he would never get on the pitch. For the sake of his family, he underwent surgery despite knowing the cost associated with doing that. Thiago finally made a full recovery and started playing football again without pushing his limits that much. He soon was on track to take back his position on the pitch, and finally did it, and later became one of the best defenders in the mighty sport. We cannot forget the mighty Beckham, who had a successful run in football. He was at the peak of his career and talented, with a lot more left to show on the pitch. He made one of the biggest mistakes in his career that almost wiped him off the face of the earth. You might be wondering which game this was that really meant a lot for Beckham. It was the World Cup of 1998, when England was playing against Argentina in round 16 of the tournament. It wasn't an easy game since the score was at a 2-2 level, with each team trying as hard as possible to break the tie and take the lead. During this struggle, Beckham kicked Diego Simeone out of rage in the legs, and as the rule states, he was sent off the pitch after the ref hoisted a red card. Unfortunately, England ended up losing, and the fans were enraged, blaming Beckham for the loss, and went from the most loved to the most hated player in England. He got so much backlash that he could not leave the pitch and even feared for his life. Beckham had one of the most successful careers. Do you think Haaland has such a chance? Well, make sure to watch our video on The Truth About Erling Haaland's Success.